All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Heather Hayter. I'm the CE coordinator here at Northwestern and the lead nurse planner for this event. First, I'm going to give some thanks to the CE Planning Committee for this event, Dr. Pamela Simmons and Pam Holcomb with the ASN program, and also Kelly Haynes with the RAD-SCI program. And also a big thanks to the ASN 4th level students who I think were in the morning session, but if there's a few of you out there, and also Leanne Young and Lisa Wilhite and her son for coming up here Saturday and spending your day cleaning up the campus and helping set up and everything for this event. So thank you very much, 4th level ASN. Today's event is social media and its impact on healthcare providers. This program is provided by NSU Nursing Continuing Education. Northwestern State University's Nursing Continuing Education is accredited as a provider of continuing nursing education by the American Nurses Credentialing Center. NSU and ANCC do not approve or endorse any commercial product or company associated with this offering, and the speaker and planners of the CE activity have disclosed no relevant financial relationships with any commercial companies pertaining to this activity. When you came in, and I think we had run out of sheets, there's some more being made. All of you students should have gotten a student survey sheet with a survey link on it. If you did not, there will be some on your way out. Please grab one. This is not mandatory, but we do truly appreciate and value your feedback on today's event, okay? It takes like less than 5 minutes to do. You just access this link down here, okay? For all of the RNs in the audience, you should have gotten a continuing education credit packet. It has all the disclosures for today and also the link to access so you can complete the survey. You do have to do this. You've got 2 weeks in order to get contact hours for this event. So, all right, on to the important stuff. Our speaker today started her nursing career in 2004 with her associate degree, and then in 2011 obtained her BSN. More recently, she achieved her MSN as an acute care nurse practitioner. Over the years, she has had the privilege of working in different areas of nursing, with her passion being in emergency room nursing. She holds several certifications and memberships, such as being a critical care registered nurse, a board certified emergency nurse, trauma nursing core certified, a member of the American Association of Critical Care Nurses, Emergency Nurses Association, and also the American Nurses Association. She also finds time to volunteer and lend nursing aid through mission trips, such as the Haiti Medical Mission Trip with NOAA, the Guatemala Medical Mission Trip with New York Presbyterian Emergency Medicine Residency, and she has served as a critical care medical volunteer at several New York City races, such as the U.S. Ironman National Championship and several other New York City triathlons. She has been featured on New York Med on ABC, New York ER on the Oprah Winfrey Network, and Discovery Health channels. She is able to reach millions every week with her powerful and knowledgeable skill and work ethic, and delivers her message with dedication and drive. She serves as a public speaker and brand spokesperson, resource, and role model for not only the nursing profession, but also for the healthcare and lifestyle enthusiasts throughout the nation. She has the guts to make her opinions known and is launching those opinions as the backbone of her mission to be the public figure for nursing. So everyone, with a warm NSU welcome, please, the Katie Duke.
Katie Duke. Hello. Well, thank y'all. Can you guys hear me with this? All the way in the back. Can you guys hear me back there? Yay, nay? Yay, yay? Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to try and control this from my phone, but we have a little technical issues, so just bear with me. Thank you all for having me again. My name's Katie Duke. I am a registered nurse and, as of 2 weeks ago, a board certified acute care NP. Yay! I felt like school was going to be never ending for me, and so I was like, yes, I'm done, and feels good to be done. But I'm not much of a traditional, type of presentation kind of person. Anytime you guys have questions, you can raise your hands, you can scream at me, you can yell, you can live tweet and post things throughout the entire thing. In fact, since the morning session, I don't know if any of you guys are on Twitter. Who here is on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram? Okay, good. Apparently it takes like 7 people in a tech whiz to start this Prezi thing, but I didn't want to bore everybody with PowerPoints because I'm sure you've had your wealth of PowerPoints over your education, right? I'm sick of PowerPoints. I'm not going to bore you with nursing theory, allied healthcare theory. We're not going to talk about rationales, care plans, and we're not going to talk about people's theories and ideas from like 150 years ago. It's actually going to be kind of fun. And like I said, how many people here are on Twitter? Yay! All right, not that many. Well, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want. Since this morning at the 9 a.m. session, we have been starting a huge hashtag, which is actually kind of trending now on Twitter for this area, and it's hashtag NSULASMCon. So NSULASMCon. Anything you want to tweet, post, tag, anything. If you like something I say, if you like my shoes, if you think that I'm crazy or if you think I'm funny, it doesn't matter. Anything you learn, you can tweet it. And then at the end of the session, you can actually go and log on and see under that hashtag everything that people have been sharing since this morning in the 9 a.m. session. And when we went to lunch just now, we actually spent the entire lunch period going over all of the tweets and everything, and there was like 157 original tweets coming from just that hashtag from just a 1-hour session. So, I'm gonna get right into it. Again, if anybody falls asleep here, it's gonna be problems, okay? So, this is not a traditional presentation. This is gonna be fun and adventurous, but again, my name's Katie. I have been a nurse for 12 years, and I recently finished my master's degree, but we'll go into all that fun stuff later. But since this is a CE credit, we have to do a little bit of ground rules. So I have to tell you that there's going to be a purpose, and as you can see here, the purpose of this is to make healthcare professionals aware that the valuable resource and platform that social media offers, in addition to the ethical, legal, and disciplinary implications related to the misuse of social media, aka Social Media 101, right? Everybody got that? Nice and simple. And then the second thing that I have to go over are the objectives. Don't we love objectives? This is what you're going to learn today. So, explaining the various aspects of social media, its reach, its value as a resource to the public and to healthcare professionals, my personal and professional journey, the do's and don'ts of social media, and also how social media can serve as a support system offering resources, knowledge sharing, and camaraderie in the online world. So, with that being said, we will just jump right into it. So, people use social media for different things, right? A lot of people like to follow chefs, follow shopping websites, follow their friends, follow their family members. I live 1,000 miles away from anyone in my family. When I started social media, I initially was like, oh yeah, I can see pictures of my nieces and nephews. And it's great. People use social media for different things. But as us, healthcare providers, how can we use social media? There is what we call a public and professional reach. Now, whenever I talk about public and professional reach, a lot of people say, well, I need statistics, I need data, I need to see numbers, because without research and numbers, it must not be true. So, I'll give you an example of how we have numbers and data to back up how social media can actually reach people. Now, we all know what word of mouth is, right? Your girlfriend or your like guy friend goes to like a hair salon and gets like a lawnmower chop on their head. Nobody's going there ever again in the town. Why? Because of word of mouth. And probably because of selfies on Instagram also. But what you have to realize is that there's tons and tons of power with word of mouth. So I spoke at the 2014 ANCC National Magnet Conference this past October, and it's just a 3 or 4 day conference. In the beginning of the conference, the group who I was with, we all decided we're going to tweet like crazy this whole conference. We're just going to share information with everybody. And the whole conference established a hashtag, kind of like what we did when we started our chat this morning. So the hashtag was hashtag ANCCMagCon 2014. So one of my little tech gurus and I, we decided that we are going to put together some data and some research to sort of back up how effective and how many people our tweeting reached. Now this is just Twitter. Can everybody see the numbers up there? So this is just from my personal Twitter account, my professional Twitter account. I only have one Twitter account. Anyway, I sent out 709 tweets in the course of a 4-day conference, and I reached 4,587,674 people, accounts. I reached their people, I reached their friends, the friends who friends have friends of their friends. And in that time, out of the 709 tweets that I have, each one of those people who follow me has an average of 1,800 followers. So if I'm telling you, hey, come to the ANCC National Magnet Conference and you're telling your 1,800 friends and they're telling their 1,800 friends, you kind of see it's kind of like a slippery slope. That is how we get to that 4.5 million number. The average person who would tweet with me based on what I would tweet would then send out on average 2.5 tweets based on the information that I gave them. So again, this is me getting information, sending it out to people, and then them either resending that information or retweeting it or interpreting it, paraphrasing it, sending it out to their people. But at the end of 4 days, we got information, one person, me, 140 characters or less, got information 4.5 million times. And I don't know 4.5 million people. Does anybody know 4.5 million people? No, but the online world, you can. So this is something, especially when you work in healthcare, people are always like, we need to see data. We need to see the research behind this. So that's an example of what we call a professional reach. You establish a fan base, you establish a following, you find people that you want to follow, you decide, you know, being in the healthcare field, I can actually get information and I can give information, right? Which comes to how we reach the public. Now we're all here because we like people, right? Everybody likes people. We like taking care of patients. We like healthcare. We enjoy helping people in their time of need. And we call those people the public. Really simple. People all over the world share common interests. Those common interests are connected by what we call the hashtag on the online world. Now, if you are in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I am in New York City, and I have somebody who I share information with in China, or somebody who I share information with in Thailand, what is the one thing that's going to connect us all? On the online world, it's a hashtag. It's a place where people who share common interests and goals or even questions and concerns can actually go to get a central location of information. Now, you don't have to be on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook and be giving information. You can log on there just to follow people. An example of that is the recent Ebola crisis in the United States. This is something that actually affects people every day across the world, but we don't know that because, you know, we normally don't follow too much that goes on across the world if it doesn't affect us directly within our little bubble. But if we go online and we look up the hashtag of Ebola, we can find how people treat and identify the disease in other countries that have more experience with it than us. This is actually one of the ways that the information got out to the public during the Ebola crisis last year that happened, including the patients that we had in New York. So if you want to get information, give information. If you want to sort of complain about how much you hate nursing school, or if you want to share feelings and share emotions and connect with people, that is done through connecting through the public and reaching them through those hashtags. So an example of how we all share common interests, I'm going to see if this is going to work from here, is does anyone here watch Jimmy Fallon? All right, so granted, this has nothing to do with healthcare. I got to start it up here. Granted, this has nothing to do with healthcare, but we don't always have to relate everything to healthcare. What I'm going to play you right now is a little example of how people all over the world connect with using hashtags. If I can get it to work. Not working. There we go. No problem.
You guys are on Twitter, right? Yeah, it's fun. Twitter's fun. Well, we use Twitter on our show every single week. So if you watch our show, you want to play along with this game. We do this thing every Wednesday night where I send out a hashtag and we ask you guys to tweet out things based on that topic. So last night I went on Twitter, I started a hashtag called Mom Texts. I asked you guys, to tweet out something funny, weird, or embarrassing that your mom texted you. We got thousands of tweets. Within 20 minutes, it was a worldwide trending topic. Thank you for those tweets. Everyone has them. They're really funny, and now I thought I'd share some of my favorite mom texts from you guys. Here we go. This first one's from @DAtkinson69. He says, I texted her, have a great day, love you, heart. She texted back, thanks, I will, but what does less than 3 mean?
Means you're over the age of 50.
Yeah. This one's from @Mrs. Cruz Toms. She says, my mom texted me, Aunt Mary died, LOL. She thought LOL meant lots of love.
All right, so those are just a few examples of how, it's just an example. Now granted, this really has nothing to do with healthcare, but hashtags connect people with common interests or experience or likes and dislikes all over the world. People will join together on a hashtag with a certain kind of topic, or you can follow people who like the same things that you like, but we're all in healthcare. So really at the end of the day, we all speak the same language. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my personal and professional journey and really kind of the reason why I'm standing here talking to you today. So some of you may know, some of you may not know, but I have a very interesting experience with social media. And what can I say? Everybody has to sort of learn things from their, from life experiences. So I started out in 2000. I got my Associates of Science degree as a nurse in 2004. I took my boards. And, but I never wanted to really be a nurse when I was growing up. I never wanted to be in healthcare. I have a whole family of nurses. I have 6 nurses in my family: my mom, my sister, my aunt, my cousin. My mom's been a nurse for 55 years. Like, you could smoke at the nurse's station when my mom became a nurse. Patients there was no such thing as plastic. Can you imagine being in the hospital and not having like plastic tubing or not having, plastic, like anything to do your work with? We function around that. And she used to always say, well, it was different when I was growing up. So I've always grown up around nurses, but I never really had that yearning to go into healthcare. I've always loved food though. So when I was in high school, I was like, I'm gonna be a chef. So when I finished high school, I took like a semester off to work and save up money. And what I did was I ended up going into a culinary program. And I thought this culinary program was great. I was like, I'm gonna cook for people, I'm gonna feed folks. I love food and this is great. And like 6 months later, I was living in a condemned apartment with no electricity, no running water, making $5 an hour, making sandwiches. And I was like, this is not gonna work for me. It's probably not gonna work for, at all. And I decided that I needed to do something different. I had sort of hit like a low. And when that happened, I was watching TV. Of course, at 2 a.m., your infomercials, you have ShamWow, you have OxyClean, you have the Showtime rotisserie and barbecue grill, and then you have ads for local schools. So when I was watching infomercials at 3 o'clock in the morning, an ad for school came on that was 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was for a local nursing school. And I was like, oh, I should totally apply. I like people, I like patients. I have nurses in my family, I could totally do this. So when I did that, I got in. And so I started this whole nursing school journey. And I realized that throughout that time that there was something very unique and very special about healthcare, and that was just something that allowed me to connect to people. So I went on and went on. I got my associates, I took my boards, I started working on a med-surg floor, which is the best experience you will ever get when you become a nurse, or even if you go into allied health. I don't care what it is, the experience you get on a med-surg floor is priceless. It's like learning how to walk before you learn how to drive, which we all need to do that. You can't just go like bull by the horns into the ICU or like into the ER. You need to get your feet wet first, So when I was working there, I really realized, I was like, I like this. This is great. We're coding patients. I'm doing wound vacs. I'm chasing naked people down the hallway because they're confused. It was fantastic. And I was like, this guy still thinks Truman's president. Catch him before he gets to the elevator. It was adventurous, to say the least. And but I kind of was like, I was kind of just like in like a boring like rut. I was in this complacent, boring, stagnant piece of my life. I didn't really want anything adventurous. I didn't really feel like going anywhere, doing anything. I was happy and safe in my nice little secure blanket that was my associate's degree. That was nursing. And I'm like, I just felt like there was something else out there. So I packed up everything I owned, put it in a U-Haul, and drove and moved to New York City. That was a little bit of a shock. I had never been to New York City. Before I moved up there, I was born and raised in St. Louis. Like, everyone has cars. I moved to New York, and there's cabs and there's subways, and I didn't know what was going on. People, like, there's 167 languages that are spoken on every block, on every avenue. It was a shock for me. But what it did teach me was that you really need to shake your system up. The more you get complacent and comfortable and, oh, yep, I'm just gonna do my little 9 to 5, pay my bills and go home, take a vacation twice a year, you will lose inspiration and passion for what you do. You have to constantly seek for that bigger and better thing. And taking me out of my little comfort zone and tossing me in New York, which it's like, you got to sink or swim in New York City, that really allowed me that inspiration to kind of want to do better things for myself. So I said, you know what, I'm going to go back and I'm going to get my bachelor's degree, even though I don't need it yet. So I was working in the emergency room at like the #1 hospital in New York, #6 in the country. It was this big, huge, fancy trauma center, burn, peds level 1 trauma. It was amazing. It was so big, there's 172 nurses on staff in just the ER. Like, our radiology suite was like next to the trauma room. Like, it was so cool. So, so cool. So I was really, really happy to be there. But I saw a lot of things that needed changing. I saw a lot of, policies and protocols and communication issues and collaborative problems, and the nurses don't round with the doctors, and the techs don't talk to the nurses, and the attendings don't talk to the chiefs, and the managers are off in some office like 5 miles away down the hallway, and they don't even know that none of us have had breaks and it's 8 o'clock at night. So there was a lot of issues that I saw, and I was like, you know what, I want to change those things. I want to help change around here, because this is a great place and we can do great things for patients and each other. So I was like, all right, I'm going to join some committees, because that's what you do when you want to make change, right? You join the local hospital committee, you get on the hiring committee, you get on the scheduling committee, you get on the clinical ladder, and you try to make change. But they were like, oh, well, you need a bachelor's to do any of this. So I finished my bachelor's, got that done. I started a unit practice council, I started the hiring committee, the scheduling committee, all these things, and it was great because things were happening. Communication was getting better, care was getting better, nurses were rounding with the doctors. We totally increased how radiology responds to like stat trauma, chest x-rays. It was amazing. And I was like, wow, this is really happening. Because in order to make any change within the healthcare and hospital realm, you have to have those degrees that allow you to climb the ladder in order to be in the positions that say, I can change the rule here if I don't like it. I sit on the board that makes the decisions to implement policy. And that is all that political thing, but you have to climb the ladder. So one day we were in a staff meeting, and it's like, I was on day shift. I hate day shift. I'm so much more of a night shift kind of person. 7 o'clock in the morning, and our patient care director comes in, and he's like, just letting everybody know we're now implementing a white scrub uniform policy. Please stop clocking in late. No drinks at the nurses station, and ABC will be filming a television show here. And we're like, what? What did you said? ABC's filming a television show here? And they were like, yeah, they're gonna start filming a documentary series. And we all said, well, I mean, it's not really gonna matter to us because they don't film nurses, right? Nobody puts a nurse on TV unless she's some dumb ditzy idiot trailing behind the doctor, or unless she's taking her clothes off. I mean, or unless she's a serial killer. Those are the 3 things that you see nurses on TV. Like, am I lying? Y'all know that's the truth. So we're like, whatever, they're not gonna put any nurses on their show, whatever, we don't have to worry about this. And so the day came by, and I was in charge, and we had gotten what we call a notification that there was a critical patient coming in. And it was a patient who just happened to be at a court date in Brooklyn. Now, we're in Manhattan by Central Park, and this is Brooklyn, which it's only like 7 miles away, but in New York time, that's like an hour, which New York is crazy. So we got this call, there's this patient coming in with a ticking LVAD battery. Now, does everybody know what an LVAD is? An LVAD is a left ventricular assist device. It's basically a nice little battery pack that keeps your heart pumping because your heart has failed and you're waiting on a transplant. What happens when our cell phone batteries start to die? We go crazy, like, no, somebody get me a plug. Imagine if that battery was connected to your heart. So this guy was in a court date, and his battery started to die, and he forgot to bring his spare battery pack. #problem, okay? So what he did was he had to call 911, and he had to come to our emergency room because we're one of the facilities that receives LVAD patients. So he comes in, and we have this whole team in there, and we look in the corner, and there's these suits walking around. We thought they were the Joint Commission, so we like hid our waters. I like stuffed my Snickers in my pocket. I was like, hide the Fritos. There's suits walking around. Oh my God! And so next thing you know is we take care of this patient. We get him hooked up on our spare battery pack. We send him on his way, and then we see these suits kind of walking in the nurse's station. They're like, hey, you really looked like you knew what you were doing in there. I was like, Well, yeah, I'm a nurse. Of course I knew what I was doing in there. You know, it's a team effort here. It's not just the doctors. And I'm not ditching the doctors. I'm not dissing them. But it's always doctor, doctor, doctor. When y'all turn on the TV at night and there's a big, huge public health epidemic, who is it that's giving you the news? Doctors. Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, Dr. Besser. All of these world-famous doctors delivering healthcare information to patients and people in the public, but where are the other people that make up that healthcare delivery team? The nurses, the allied healthcare professionals, the EMS, the first responders. Where is our person like that we have representing us in the media and on TV? See, you know, doesn't exist. The person's not there unless it's Nurse Jackie. And we all know that we are not Nurse Jackie, right? But, so when ABC, so I kept that thought in the back of my head. So when the directors kind of came up to me and they were like, oh yeah, we're from ABC, and you know, we're filming this show here, and you really looked like you knew what you were doing in there, and you know, you get along great with your team, and you know, we wanted to see if we could put a microphone on you. And I was like, you want to put a mic on me? Does that thing have a sensor buzzer? Like, is it gonna go off? Because I cuss a lot. And I'm an ER nurse. There's no Florence Nightingales in this ER, okay? I work in New York City, you have to be tough. So as long as you're not gonna, you know, censor me, or that thing's not gonna beep every time I have an expletive come out, I'm fine, I'm game, but you're gonna get what you're gonna get. You're gonna get a real nurse, like a real, I'm not some frou-frou, oh my gosh, yes doctor, not that kind of person. They're like, no, that's great, just be you. We want nurses on the show. And I was like, oh, okay, this is fantastic. So myself and two other nurses were mic'd up, if you would say, and we got on the show and we just were ourselves. We were 100% ourselves. When we were, you know, handling 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 patients at a time, when we're chasing naked crazy guy down the hallway, you know, when we're hungry at 7 o'clock at night and we've spent all day resuscitating people, we were us. But we were also part of that great collaborative team. And so they filmed for about 6 months, and they filmed thousands of hours of footage. And the great thing about this was that the producers for the show said, we want to make this a humanizing experience for people and viewers, because we want them to see that healthcare professionals, healthcare providers are not these, you know, cold superheroes that just come here and do this and go home. We want to show the more human side of them, which I think is great, but also a good representation of what we really do, and that we're not the Nurse Jackies, and that we're not the crazy people on Scrubbing In, you know? So I was very humbled and very honored to have that opportunity. So we finished filming. 6 months later, 12 months later, New York Med Season 1 aired on ABC and had 36 million viewers. It won several awards. It was this huge, huge show. And we were all like, holy cow, this is crazy. The hospital was like, you need to start social media pages. You need Twitter, you need Facebook, you need Instagram, you need to reach out to these people, you need YouTube videos. And we were like, yes, yes, let's do all of that. And so in the process of doing that, you know, you learn that people like different information. You know, you kind of learn people like sharing information, they like getting information, but what there was missing within our little industry was a nurse in the spotlight. There was no Dr. Besser, there's no Dr. Phil, there's no Dr. Oz of a nurse. And especially there's not many female healthcare personalities out there either. Actually, I can't really name any. And so I saw that void in the industry, I guess you could say, and I decided that with the opportunity to be on a TV show that reaches 36 million people, and my passion for nursing and healthcare and the team that offers healthcare delivery and how much I love patients, I was like, I think I'm gonna go try and do that. And I set myself out on a mission, I guess you could call it a social media mission, to fill that void in the industry. So I really launched my Facebook, my YouTube, my Instagram, my Twitter, and next thing you know, February the next year, the hospital and ABC call us, they're like, we're gonna film a second season. And we're like, no way. Now granted, we didn't get paid for any of this. This is literally them doing a documentary. They put a microphone on us from the minute we get in to the minute we leave. There's no extra stuff, there's no hair, no makeup. If I show up there with a like ratchet ponytail on top of my head, that's what I'm getting filmed as the entire day. But that is real, right? That's what happens in the real world. So they're like, we're gonna film a season 2. And we're like, that's fantastic. So excited. So 2 weeks into filming, I remember the day to the date. I loved where I was at. I had actually started a grad program. I started my master's degree at Columbia University. I had a great social media following. I was making YouTube videos. I was interacting with people, reaching out to students and healthcare people all over. And it did at the same time earlier too. And it was great because I was fulfilling a need, but also able to spread my word and my mission. And I was in with this one patient one day. We were actually filming the case. A little old couple came in. They've been married like 62 years. The husband was septic. And the wife, we had been resuscitating him for several hours. Cute little old New Yorker couple, like just little spitfires. And she finally made the decision to make her husband a DNR. She's like, I don't want him to keep going through this. Now we all know what kind of moment that is. Even if it's expected or even if it's traumatic and unexpected, it's a very humble moment. And so I remember I was in the recess room and I was with my patient was on the bed, but I was with his wife because as you all know, after you spend time in the hospital and in facilities, the family is also your patient, right? It's never just the patient. His wife, his kids, his neighbors, his dogs, his cats, his friend from 10 years ago, whoever comes with them, you have to support them too. So remember I was like literally like holding her like in my arm and she was just having the worst time, dealing with this. She felt like guilty. She felt bad for this. And I was like, it's gonna be okay. And I get, my charge nurse comes up to me. She's like, Katie, can you go back to the back office? Brian wants to see you. I'm like, it's like almost shift change. Why is management still here? They usually leave at like 4 p.m. on the dot. Oh, I'm probably getting fired. That's probably what's happening. And I knew, like, they'll tell you, you'll hear from people say, after you work in healthcare for so long, that you just have this like gut feeling, like always trust your gut. I knew right then and there that I was getting canned, and I'm not even kidding. Even though I hadn't done anything wrong, I didn't have any document problems. I come to work, I don't call out, I don't come late, I wear this stupid uniform, but I was freaking out, and I was like, God, what happened? What happened? So I go back to the management office, and I speak to my patient care director and my manager, and I go through the door, and they're sitting down. They're like, Katie, have a seat, please. And I'm like, no, thanks. I'm gonna stand. I don't want to sit down. Just spill it. Just tell me it and get it over with. Like I knew. And they said, well, we know how much you love this place. We know you've been here like almost 7 years, and you're such a great nurse. But we don't want you working here anymore. We just think you're doing a little too much stuff. We just like our nurses to come here, be a nurse, and go home. You're trying to make all these changes and have this big voice and lead the pack like Norma Ray, and no. It's just time to move on. And so we're going to basically fire you because we think that your post that you made on Instagram was insensitive. And I was like, you gotta be, like, I couldn't believe it. Like, jaw hit the floor. It was the worst moment of my life. The worst moment of my life. And I said, well, why are y'all, I don't understand, like, why are y'all firing me? Like, you can't just fire me. And they're like, well, we're basically just gonna say that, the post, we saw a post that you made on Instagram like a week or so ago, and we think it's insensitive. Even though it doesn't violate our social media policy, even though it doesn't violate HIPAA, matter of fact, it's just a picture of an empty trauma room. But Duke, we just don't want you working here anymore. You don't run this place. And I was like, I was like dumbfounded. I thought I was getting punked. I was like, God, this is terrible. Like, what is happening? And so this is all while we're in the middle of filming season 2 on ABC. And so what I'm gonna play for you right now is a little clip from the actual episode. Now this aired on ABC just this past June. And this was actually the episode where it shows me actually getting fired. 10 in front of 5 million people. Nothing like getting canned on national television, I'll tell you that much.
You know where you are? You're in the emergency room. Can you tell us what happened? I come from a whole family of nurses. My mom is a nurse, my sister's a nurse, my aunt's a nurse, my cousin's a nurse. I'm walking up away from the hospital now because I have to leave the premises. I just got fired, man. I made an online social media post. This post that has gotten me fired was a picture of an empty trauma room with a comment underneath. My comment was, man versus 6 train, life-saving New York City ER, EMS nurses and doctors.
So you guys can all see that picture, right? There's no patient in the picture. There's no signs of the hospital's logo. There's no like innocent bystander. There's no staff. There's no people. There's no nothing. There's no privacy information, confidential information. So you see that and you're like, well, I don't understand that. This is where I'm going to branch into the do's and don'ts of social media. Even though something might not violate a hospital policy or a hospital protocol, it's like 500 degrees in here, sorry. Even though something is not violating a hospital policy or a hospital protocol, there's what we call this little issue called sensitivity. And listen, we're healthcare people. Not everybody speaks healthcare folk. Just like not everybody speaks ER nurse, not everybody speaks rad tech, not everybody speaks, ER doctor language. It can be very interesting for a non-healthcare person to maybe go on somebody's social media page or somebody's website and see the things that we see and hear the things that we hear and hear what we say, and they'd be like, oh my God, they actually say those things? You get kind of desensitized after a while. And so when I looked back at what got me fired, I said, okay, so there's obviously the politics behind it, but you're only as good as how you act in your worst moment. And what you have to do is you have to take the worst moment of your life and make it your best lesson. And when I say that, I mean that a lot of people can get fired or lose their job or go through a breakup and you just want to like roll over in your own poo and just die. And you like never want to leave your house. You want to eat Doritos for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you're like, my life sucks. My life is over. Everything is gone. What do I do? But what good is that going to accomplish? You don't ever want to play the victim, right? Of course it was a low blow what happened, but am I going to sit there and point fingers and be some bitter, scorned ex-employee of a big bad hospital? No, because you know what that is? That's putting me at the same level of the people who don't encourage my growth. And we don't want to be down here, right? We like being up here. So you do what? You take the higher road. The higher road in this situation was, okay, yep, totally got fired, totally lost my job, totally happened on national television, totally understand that there's a lot of confounding variables about why this happened, but I'm not going to sit around and bitch and moan about it because I can actually like make something of this. I already have a great following on social media. I'm a nurse. I live in New York City. I have a message. I like to stir the pot. I want to show people that we are not Nurse Jackie. I want to show people that it's not just the doctors, that it is the rad techs and the nurses and the clerks and the EMS and the firemen, that it takes a team of people to deliver health care. And I said, I'm going to keep it moving. So what did I do? Got me another job. And the TV show filmed me getting my new job. And they filmed me going through the whole process of being the new kid on the block, which, listen, that's never fun. I don't care if you've been in the field for like 20 years, starting over at a brand new hospital is really, really traumatizing. There's a lot of bullying that goes on. There's a lot of, cliques. There's a lot of learning new codes to like the 56 doors to the break room and the drug room and the supply room. And it's like, God, I don't even know where to park. So it's traumatizing, but it's a new venture and it's a new growth and it's a new journey. So when ABC decided to continue following me on that journey, I was like, oh yeah, this is happening because success is the best form of revenge, right? So you keep it moving. So what I've done since then is I've basically made it my mission to not only educate nurses and healthcare folks about the do's and don'ts of social media, but encourage social media. Why? Because can you guys name me one place that you walk in, whether it's a store or a movie theater or an event or something that doesn't have 50 social media signs like when you walk in? You can tag us here, you can check into our location, you can take a picture and post it and get 20% off your order and free shipping. Social media runs the world. This is our resume. Our resume, if you basically don't have social media, to some people, it's hard, you're not accessible, okay? But social media is everywhere. So that's gonna take us into what can we take from this, basically, what can we take from this speech today? Do's and don'ts of social media. The first, do. Now, how many talks about HIPAA have y'all had throughout school and clinicals? It's like, HIPAA overload, right? Can you believe that there used to not be HIPAA, though? Like, can you imagine those days, like, before HIPAA and before privacy? Just like I think when I was growing up, I was like, God, there was, like, no internet when I was growing up. I remember when I got a pager, you know, and I thought that was exciting. Kind of dating myself now, but anyway, so with advances in technology and with all of these great resources and things that we have come do's and don'ts. First and foremost, the elevator test. Listen, if you can't say it on an elevator, don't put it on social media. It's just simple like that. If you can't say it in a public elevator, your elevator at JCPenney or Bloomingdale's, don't put it on your social media page, because chances are it could come back to bite you. Number 2 is be nice. How hard is it to be nice? Does anybody like a bully? No. I hate bullies. I hate bullies. I don't tolerate bullying. When I am teaching, when I am in clinical, when I'm working, I don't tolerate people being mean to each other, because you know what that does? That burns out everybody. And if you have experienced bullying, or if you experience somebody being mean to you at work or at school, it's terrible. It ruins your whole experience. So that being said, number 2 is just be nice. Don't be one of those trolls that trolls around somebody's Instagram page, like looking for their back rolls in their tank top. Like, come on, we don't like that. Hey, because you have to think. Everybody has flaws, everybody has issues, but don't be a troll. There's enough trolls out there, don't join them. Number 3, the internet is not a human being. If you want to vent, do so with purpose. Now, we all need to vent, right? I still leave work, like, to this day, and I have to work tomorrow night. I still leave some mornings and I'm like, oh, I hate this place. Oh, this drives me crazy. But that's me venting a feeling and an emotion. You know, it's not me bashing the place online, but if you have to vent, do so with purpose. And when I say do so with purpose, don't just be out there pointing fingers and saying, this hospital is terrible, I didn't get my break. Instead, maybe say, you know what, I didn't get a break today, but tomorrow I'm gonna make sure that I have coverage before noon. And if I can't find coverage, I'm gonna petition my boss to start some new committee offering break coverage. It's just a really simple example of how we can still vent, but also still be positive professionals, which is how we want to be represented online, because that's how you get power. Number 4, know your privacy settings. That kind of goes with number 5, which is ground rules at gatherings. How many of us have been to like bachelor party, fun weekend in Mexico, or some fun vacation somewhere, party bus, anything like that? Okay, I have, I'll admit it. My girlfriend had her 30th birthday party, and I'm not kidding, there was a pole in the van. Now, I did not get up there, but you know, we're all very realistic people here. There were people that did, and they're nurses. And their techs and their students. And you know what? It was a fun, amazing, crazy night. But you don't want that on your social media page, right? We don't want that. Because if you're just graduated and you're sending out applications, you're making your resume, and you have this fun little lovely party bus picture on your page of everybody, with their eyes looking 3 different directions, it's not a very good portrayal of you as a character. So you don't want to put stuff like that out there that somebody can say, I don't know if I want that girl or that guy working here, strictly for that reason. So just keep that in mind, especially when you're applying for jobs, because again, your social media page is your resume. It tells who you are as a person, what you believe in, your values, your ethics, and your work ethic. So number 5, that being said, if you are at a gathering, you can kindly remind people like, listen, if you're going to post anything, just make sure I see it before you post it. Very simple. And number 6, keep it professional, right? It's very easy to go on and badmouth the hospital, but what you should always do is look over their social media guidelines, look over the hospital's policy, and just make sure that the hospital, whether it's clinical or whether you're practicing or whether you're at school, just make sure you, as a professional, know what the ground rules are. So, how many of us have seen Jimmy Kimmel? Anybody here? I'm like a huge late night television fan. So Jimmy Kimmel has this lovely little, I guess you'd call it like a sketch, and it's called Mean Tweets. Now this is just a classic example of things that we don't want to do online.
Just a few months, Twitter will turn 6 years old. In 2006, tweeting was something only birds did. Now there's our #1 way to insult celebrities. Celebrities with Twitter accounts, and I know this because I have one, get bombarded with sometimes hundreds of insults a day. So over the last few months, we've been asking some of our celebrity guests to sit down and read the mean things people tweet about them. This is the 3rd time we've done this, and we call it Celebrities Read Mean Tweets.
Selena Gomez is on the radio right now. Is there a volume lower than mute? Sorry.
Okay.
I saw Larry King at dinner, but it might have been just a run-of-the-mill goblin.
Dr. Phil, why don't you shut the up, you bald-headed, big-mouthed hillbilly?
Simon Cowell, you, my friend, are actually, that's one of the nicest things anybody's ever said about me. I've got a bit of a lump in my throat now, thank you, because I really am it.
My Asian orthodontist says Jessica Biel has horse teeth.
Like, come on. Nobody likes a bully. Don't be mean online. Even if you are truly an angry person inside, which I'm sure none of you are, don't be mean. Don't be a mean tweeter, all right? So, that being said, basic set of little ground rules to live by. Now, what is the other thing that we can use social media for? You can use it as a venue to network and share moments, share knowledge, share information with your colleagues. You can stay connected. How was the last time you guys had like a group study session and not everybody was able to make it to the group study session? Next time, Skype it. You ever thought about that? It's actually a really good thing. Or you can Google Hangout, you can live stream it, and then everybody can watch it on YouTube the next day. There are so many resources that you can use social media for that can help you connect as a student, but also as a healthcare provider. You can stay connected at conferences, retreats. You can use a hashtag like we've been doing today, NSULA and you can hear everybody's feedback, everybody's opinions, everybody's comments, or maybe even just their impression of how the event or the conference has gone. But again, how do we get better at what we do? We share information. How do you regress what you do? You stop reading. You stop asking questions, you stop inquiring, and you just get complacent. That is how you become the person at the end of the pack instead of the leader. So, if you have a question, let's say one day you are at clinical or you're at school and you're like, I have the most difficult patient on the planet. This patient, I have given her 3 pillows, which is 3 more than anybody gets. I have given her like 17 sandwiches, and this is just impossible. Anybody have any advice out there? Somebody might tweet back, oh, give the patient an iPhone charger. Does anybody turn into a crazy person when their phone dies? I do. If I'm not connected to the world, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Gave the patient a phone charger, and she was like, thank you so much. I'm so sorry for how I acted when I had no battery on my phone. I was like, holy cow. All right, you can just hold on to that for like an hour. But again, social media doesn't always have to be about big, crazy, huge, life-changing moments. You can use it for something as simple as when you need advice, or when you have a question, or when you honestly just need feedback on something that you're going through. But there's a lot of people that hear social media and they're like, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want a social media page. I'm terrified of social media. I don't know how to tweet. There's a lot of people that go through that. So what do you do if you're in that situation? You don't have to tweet anything. You don't have to post a daggone thing. But what you can do is you can follow everybody. Who do you follow? The CDC, the Department of Health and Human Services, the New England Journal of Medicine, the ANA, the ENA, Katie Duke, Dr. Oz. You follow people who you like to get information from. And that, with being said, you don't always have to share stuff on social media. You literally, I have friends who have accounts. They've never sent out a tweet, never posted anything, but they always know what's going on in the world because they follow people and they get information. So again, the hashtag for today was NSULASMCon, and just an example of how hashtags can really make a difference just over the course of a few hours. On Saturday when I was writing this speech, procrastinator, yes, that's me, I sent out a hashtag and I was like, all right, I'm gonna test and see how this stuff works. So I went to my Twitter page and I said, hey guys, I am starting, where's it at here? I said, I am doing a little research on how social media helps people in a time of need. please reply back with one time saying how social media helped you in a time of need using the hashtag support system. And I had like hundreds and hundreds of replies because I had bad days. There's people that understand and relate, and talking to people instead of at them. Hashtag support system. It enlightens providers to all aspects of patient care, not through the eyes of only one single provider. Shoulders to lean on. Twitter helps me vent without violating HIPAA and keeps me sane through rough nights. Using Skype to study groups. My class created a private Facebook group where we studied together and quizzed each other, and it helped a lot. Conducting polls for class discussion. My anonymous Twitter account helped me. It made me experience support from many other nurses and students. I could go on and go on and go on, but there was hundreds of replies within a matter of like 24 to 48 hours. That is a perfect example of how Twitter is a good place for not just people looking to get information and share information, but sometimes you just need a support system. And that right there is a good example of how hashtags work. And that right there concludes this little presentation.